Hi guys, welcome to another episode on the Lux Conversations with Ololade. And on today's episode, I have with me a guest, friend, Faye, and she's here. You can introduce yourself to our listeners.
My name is Faye Tuluadmi Ayuri. So I do a lot of things.
Now what?
I have corporate work. I work in operations. Then I have two businesses. One, I run a personal assistance agency, and I also have a fashion.
Love it.
Fashion business. So yeah, for now, those are three things that I do.
That's okay. So on today's episode, we're having an important conversation, and I just thought, I need someone to ask. I need help. Someone deep. So I was like, I had to bring her all today just to record, and I'm really excited about doing it.
Sit here.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to go straight into it. This episode is about International Women's Day, the important conversation that needs to be had. I feel like there's a lot. We're going to pick our own, hopefully, also pick your own in your little spaces. So, International Women's Day 2025 was the theme for this year's, day. So there's action to ensure that all women have access to equal opportunity, rights, equal power, and all of that good stuff. The honest truth is, maybe a little progress has been made by society in some regards for women, but there's still a lot to be done. There's still a whole lot when it comes to women actually having that equality that we always ask and talk about, right? There's still a lot to be done. We also have our own parts to play as women, and I feel like that's really the angle that we're coming from. So, Faith, I'm going to ask him, why do you think that this conversation is so important to be had? Like, why do you think that it's something that everybody needs to be talking about at this moment in time? This big 2025.
Okay, so I believe that conversations shapes narrations and trends. So you might just think you're talking about it, and before you know it, it becomes popular opinion. Somehow reforms are made, like policies changes and all of that. And yeah, so I know that I feel like our voice is so small, nobody's hearing it, but it's just about you putting a nail. I think that says that a blacksmith that is hammering on one spot is trying to get something out. So I believe it's very important. I believe that we have our voices needs to be heard, and that we are seeing the results of what we are saying or not. We just need to keep at it till we start to see that the changes that we want to see.
I really love that response. It just means that every little thing that we do concerning this particular cause actually counts for something.
In fact, inactions, they all shape the quality of life that we have.
You can see what I was saying, right? Okay, I'm going to be serious. So, next thing I'm going to be asking, right? You know how in society there's these expectations that we have of women. Even funny how women have expectations of other women, right? So there's just this, we can classify that maybe pressure, expectations, just things that are put there by limits we don't even know. If that as a woman, when it comes to your career, this is how it should be. As a woman, when it comes to relationships, this is how it should be. As a woman, when it comes to finances, this is how it should be, right? So when it comes to all of that, and I believe that every human being should be able to should be able to go on your own path, right? Exactly, without having any form of pressure to say this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? So in this big 2025, how do you think that all of that pressure, expectations, how do you feel like that's affected women and the way that we live and our careers, our relationships, and all of that?
To be honest, I don't even know where to start from, because the issue of societal pressure and how it affects women, it's not even something we can even talk about and exhaust it in this sit-down conversation. But I believe that, the question is that, how does it affect women? First of all, if you look at it from the angle of motherhood, career, and even how we are meant to appear. So there is just pressure from all angles, and that's made a lot of people to even make decisions they're not supposed to make, just because people, I don't even think some women even have a mind of their own, because there is already like a standard, there is already a timetable, there is already a way that you should live. So you don't even get to even sit and think and reflect and is it chat?
Yeah, chat. Yeah.
I don't even think some women are just living consciously or unconsciously, or subconsciously now, as as society, and I won't even know it. It's very soft. Sometimes the pressure is very loud, or some, even for people that are very intentional like me, it's very soft. I'm going to the example of this whole marriage stuff. As a young girl, I never wanted to get married early. I never saw myself getting married early. I saw myself getting married around 28. Well, so I thought maybe 26 was old at the time. And my calculation was that, okay, I saw myself maybe finishing school around 21. And I gave myself that idea of, I wanted to have my own. And that was because I was in a home where my mother had a home. So my whole idea was I would need like 6 years at least after school, so to have my money and then get married. That was the idea. Also, I got into the world and I realized that 20 is actually very old for you to be saying you want to get married. But I was still very strong because I have a mind of my own and I'm very, very intentional about how I live my life. And I see living more from the angle of Christ and what Christ wants me to do. Not necessarily how this, because at the end of the day, I don't report to society on how I led my life. I would report to Christ from the calendar he gave me. Well, without even following it anyways, we'll know at the end. So that keeps me grounded. And I mean, I digressed. So for me, even though I started very strong, I don't care. I'm going to do what I need to do. What I need to do is, as long as I'm happy. But subconsciously, I realized that the pressure was there. Because now, as you are approaching 26, you're already feeling like, oh my goodness, time is going. And I still wonder, what time is going? Who sets this time? So that's even from the angle of marital. Even from the angle of education, people expect that once you finish school, the next day for you to do your masters. I didn't want to do that. I was a bright student. I was an A student. Everybody wanted me. People were texting me. Friends from school, senior friends from fellowship, my parents, you finished university now. And I didn't want to do masters immediately. And looking back, I think I'm happy because I have real life experience. If I do my masters now, bro, like I'm doing it from a place of knowing, like I'm doing it from a place of real life experience. Not like I'm just gathering that certificate just like I did for my undergrad. And looking back, I'm happy I actually waited. Even though at some point I was feeling pressured that, oh, did I make the right decision? Because it just makes sense that the next thing you're going to do after 4 years and 1 year service is just masters. So one way I would say that societal pressure affects women is it makes us underliving. And we do not have a mind of our own to really even sit and ask ourselves what actually makes us pressure. So I think I'm just going to sum it up as we underlive and we don't even get to sit and ask ourselves what truly makes us happy and what would actually make us live a fulfilled life. Because fulfillment is very relative. And we need to look from the angle of Christ. What exactly is God saying? How are you going to live your life that would mean that you are fulfilled on earth? The dictionary of God, dictionary of God's sign.
What society is saying or what world is saying. That's such a great angle that you pick that, or that you respond to that question from. Like, what would you tell Jesus at the end of the day? That's very important, well, as believers and like women, female believers. I think that's really important. Like she said, I think you've said it all, so let me not do any research. So let's just go to the next question that I have for you. So how do women now break out of that? This is what really happens that I've experienced myself is it might not necessarily come at once when someone is telling you, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. You just realize that it is like this noise in your head that, oh, you've heard it so much and little places. So it's in your head. In a way, it even starts to direct and that should not be what's directing your life, right?
Right.
So how do you get to that point where you then break out of it? Like for you, for example, using yourself as an example, in your experience, how did you get to that point of realization? And how did you decide that, I'm not going this path. This is what I want and this is what I'm going to do?
Okay, so I've always been very self-aware. People as a teenager say how I'm able to navigate that is understanding first that I was placed here by somebody, and the only person that had the say in that placement on earth is the person who placed me here in the first place. So whatever I do just has to make sense in his dictionary. That said, how I'm able to navigate all of these things is also knowing that my actions, I'm the first beneficiary of my actions. So if my mom is saying, but if she's saying, what's going on? And I'm like, oh my God, let me just do something. That's sound. But if anything, if I mistruth, then
Right, if you mischoose, that's very.
and the thing, she's going to pity me. She's not going to be happy about it. But I'm the first beneficiary of such action, and that's even it from the angle of let's say marriage. When you speak from the angle of even physical image, how society expects a woman to look. If you're pressured, I'm currently dealing with a teenager right now who texted me. I think she texted me last week. She does not have front hair. She does not look pretty. She feels skinny. And I'm like, where is this? Where is it coming from? It's because of social media and because she's always on TikTok. Where is this coming from? What are your friends in school telling you? Like, I'm more sad than even concerned, because she used to be a girl that is very, very bright. She used to be very bold as the secondary school girls. I'm like, have you seen do I have front hair? Am I not beautiful? She said I'm beautiful. So why do you now think you're not beautiful? So I would say that if you're pressured to make, somebody was telling me about one lady who did surgery recently at a hospital that he's a doctor there, and the boyfriend started making comments about her ass and all of that, and she was pressured and she did the surgery.
Like BBL. And when you said surgery, call it
So, and she died. Oh, Jesus. Like, she died. She was there for long. She was on life was possible for long, and she passed. And nobody even, and this was a very pretty girl. So first, we need to have a strong sense of identity, a strong sense of worth. Because my dear, if you're pressured to take irrational and unwise action because of all this pressure, again, you're the first beneficiary. And also, let's even assume that nothing is going to happen to you. Does it make you happy? So if you're going to live 50 years on earth, is it not such an endless chase and a very terrible way to live your life to mirror what people are saying? That's a very sad life if you ask me. Choose happiness. Let's even assume that you're going to make something going to in a bad way affect you. Does it even make you happy? And how long do you want to continue to chase things that doesn't really bring you true joy or happiness? So yeah, that's the way I look at it. That just keeps me grounded, and overall ensuring that I live the way Christ wants me to live, and ensuring that whatever I do makes him happy.
Thank you so much for that. So we're going to the next question now. So what are the practical ways that you would, give a woman, or maybe that even you yourself have taken to live life on your own terms, like you mentioned earlier, doing things that really bring you true joy, right? So what are the practical steps that you'd probably advise anybody to take?
Yes, I feel like one thing is that somehow missing in our generation is self-reflection, introspection, and that time you spend with yourself. So there is so much noise in the world. That's what I would always say. There's too much noise. With your permission, without your permission, you're always scrolling too much noise. It doesn't have to be that kind of noise. It's noise where you're online all through the day, and so it's keeping us away from ourselves. And we don't even know what we truly want, because we never really sit for ourselves. We sleep, we wake up, we go to work. Everybody is saying anything. We are not saying anything to ourselves. And so for you to be able to navigate this, I believe that the first thing you should do is to sit with yourself. Ask yourself, what does true happiness, what does fulfillment look like to me? What does success look like to me? What does being healthy in the sense of what does it look like to me? What does it mean to be beautiful? Understand these things for yourself first, and shut out all the noise. Now, when you're able to articulate what exactly success to fulfillment, because I believe all we are chasing is fulfillment, you ask me, in whatever form or way that means to me, that marriage makes you feel even those things cannot feel, say Christ feels us, but you know that all those accomplishments journeys and just feel like, oh, I think I feel yeah, define that, and just know what that look like to you, then pursue it. And second thing is to build financial independence. I don't care what your husband have, I don't care what your boyfriend have, I don't care what your father have, I don't care. Have you? When I was preparing for this, something came to my mind. They used to say that money does not buy, money cannot buy God. The money stops us. Oh, my dear, you can get away from anything, anybody, any day if you build financial independence. And even before then, I would say build knowledge. Yeah, build being informed, be indispensable. But in a way that if anybody is stressing your brain, you can easily, because the knowledge that you have can always reproduce that same thing that you're about to take away from you. Build knowledge, skill, be financial independent, and understand what exactly success looks like to you and what true fulfillment means to you on your terms or definition. Yeah, that's what I would advise.
Oh, thank you so much for that again. So I'm going straight to the next question. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned on your journey? Now you laughing, there must have been a lot of lessons. I mean, I've gone through a lot, girl.
My dear. So I would say that there is really no biggest lessons, smallest lessons. I've learned so many lessons on my journey. And one would be that do not compromise your values for anybody. I don't care how I know person is, my dear. Okay, another thing that I've learned is constant improvement and constant development. Self-development is so important. Whatever you learn in that journey is from you. Nobody's taking it from you. So, this just drives everything. What you eat is what you put out there. Like, so whatever you take in is for you, and just really determine how high you can actually go. There is something called pretty privilege. There is something called gender privilege. Even though they're against it, still use it to your advantage. I won't say you use it in the wrong sense and trade your body for me. That's not what I'm talking about. But ensure that your presence is speaking and your presence is calling things that they can't look at you and just take your eyes off you. They can't work on you. Don't say God sees my heart. My dear, nobody sees your heart. God sees it truly, but you're dealing with human beings on a day-to-day basis, and that has helped me a lot. And I don't have to compromise values for anything or anybody just because of just your courage. Just as women, work on how you carry yourself, how you see yourself, and it's really like it changes things.
Yeah.
Okay. Very importantly, most of the things that makes us lose joy, peace, to be honest, are not worth it. Anxiety does not really support them. I'm speaking from experience and from things I've learned. Most of the things I've been anxious about, in retrospect, I just suffered myself. There was no need for it because they didn't happen. And I think Pastor Irene said it one time that he even gave a percentage. I can't remember. For example, 80% of the things, for example, that you've ever worried about in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So please save your energy and not sleep so that I can fix it. Right.
No, that's very valid.
Please, my dear.
Very dark circle.
My dear, sleep. Sleep. Yeah. So don't lose your sleep over anything. You have your money. To be honest.
Second time
I'm begging the name of God.
That's you.
Your money. So that you can walk away from nonsense at any given time, any day.
When you say nonsense, what do you mean? Nonsense in what?
Disrespect.
Okay.
Like people that don't value you, uncomfortable situation, a lot of things. When it does nonsense, I mean it in every sense of the word. Like,
I agree.
It doesn't boost your confidence.
Yeah.
And you know that you cannot confine yourself to a particular uncomfortable situation just because you can.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are in unhappy marriages, because
or even like jobs that are not healing,
just because they're not upskill, or they don't, because they're like, how am I going to go from here? So what else have I learned? To be honest, I think to cap it all again and again and again, define purpose. Let your existence mirror what the person who placed you here wants you to do. That's the only way you can feel fulfilled. Trust me, you will feel when I get a car, when I get married, and you keep looking for things to adorn yourself with to have a sense of fulfillment. My love, you won't get it. I'm not saying you should not have all those things, because that would be learned nation. So it means you want us to be rich, right? But that said, understand that true fulfillment and true happiness comes from God alone. Take it serious.
That's
Yes,
I find add in that. All right, thank you. So we're rounding up now, and I'm just going to ask, if you had the chance to speak to 16-year-old Faith, what would you be telling her? Knowing all that you know now, all you've gone through, what would you be telling her? I think it goes out to even younger people that are listening to this or watching.
Okay, so I'm going to speak to that from the angle of what I knew at the time that helped me, and some things I knew that I did not do, and some things that I did know. And so, all the self-development I did as a teenager did not go to waste. Because tell me how I was in an interview room. In my mind, I was literally teaching, like I was afraid in my mind. And the interviewers were saying, "You're so confident." It says all the things I have chalked inside that was still showing, even when I was not conscious of it. So I would tell my 15-year-old girl that she should continue doing that. Because as a teenager, I was always carrying journal up and down. I'm always doing something. I'm always learning how I speak. Because my dear, the world is so biased. They will judge you based on your appearance, based on how you speak, based on everything. So ensure that before you even open your mouth to talk, you already have the courage. And now when you now open your mouth, so I would cap that in that personal development. I'll tell my 15-year-old girl to not stop developing herself. And another thing I would tell her is that the confidence I was trying to build them was not a waste. You need confidence, you need audacity in life to do some things. If you're doing things when it feels convenient, if you're applying for things when you're actually qualified, you are not really living to the full expectation of what God wants you to do, because you want to live with faith. Faith is only applied when it does not make sense. So if it's always making sense for you to actually be under living with love, so to start living well, start living to the full capacity that you should be living, I would tell her that she should be very audacious. I should keep working on being confident, and not like that confidence of that's facade that you're just have the outlook of confidence when you're not really confident. It's like, I would tell her that she should keep working on her confidence, because it's just solves like a lot of things. I would tell her to also not compromise her values for anything. I would tell her that your action, your inaction, and your delayed action all shapes and it contributes to the kind of life that you have. I would tell her that actions, inactions, and delayed action has a repercussion and contributes to the outcome and quality of life you eventually have.
Thank you so much. I think that was very impactful. You agree with me, right? And it was a very engaging conversation that we had. And I think I even learned a lot myself too, and I hope you did. Thank you so much for listening up to this end. If you're listening up to this end, just please follow Faith on, please call it on our Instagram pages. But I think we should also, just say this: Happy International Women's Day. Thank you very much. And thank you for, listening to this episode. I'll catch you on the next episode with lots of conversations. And till then, be good and bye. Bye.